Welcome to the Hudson Show. Coming up, one dating app is about to start coming up with conversation starters for you. Also, why Candy Crush sent one man to jail. All that and more on the way next. It is the Hudson Show from RadioU. A great podcast episode ahead. We'll start it off with Nene joining
Hello.
me. Because, Nene, I know you saw this story this week that Dave & Buster's
Oh, no, not this one.
is bringing gambling to their locations. But it's not even like, oh, you'll be able to go to Dave & Buster's and wager on the games you're watching on TV or whatever. You're going to be able to gamble on like Hot Shots basketball and skee ball arcade games in a Dave & Buster's.
I can't wait to see the guy behind me absolutely lose his mind because he can't get the crane that he bet $50 on to pick up the little plush toy.
Don't you know that there's going to be like friendships are going to end because people are going to be like, hey, I mean, we can bet on ourselves in skee ball right now. I bet I can beat you. And then like Dave & Buster's is going to be the end of friendships. It's going to be ridiculous.
You know, I always see those like sports betting commercials, and they always have the little fine print at the bottom that says, if you gamble too much, please call this number. That's why I don't sports bet, because that number I would have on speed dial.
I think, no, you're 100% right. Like sports gambling to me, that feels like one thing. This feels like if you're gambling at Dave & Buster's on skee ball, you got to have that number. You got to call that number. They should just post it on the doorways as you enter into Dave & Buster's.
Part of the requirement to like start gambling at Dave & Buster's is you have to have that number saved in your phone.
That's right.
You can just pick it up at any point you want.
The definition of gambling problem is when you're gambling at Dave & Buster's on skee ball.
That's a new low.
That is. If that's you, I'm sorry to say, I don't say this about a lot of things. It's time to reevaluate everything you've done up to this point, because somewhere along the way, something went wrong. Something went wrong and you need help. It's the Hudson Show. Nikki, I know you're an iPhone owner, user, parent.
Yes. My baby.
Are you one of the many iPhone users that has experienced an issue with your alarm clock?
Oh, no, I haven't had anything. And I do set an alarm clock every morning. So
Have you seen all the people complaining, though?
No, what are we complaining about?
Well, basically, a lot of people, and this has been going on for weeks, people have been complaining that their iPhone alarm has not been going off the way it's supposed to, and so they're winding up sleeping in too much.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's a pretty big issue.
Because sometimes they're like, is it human error or what?
Well, Apple said they're aware of the issue, so it is an issue that even Apple acknowledges, but they haven't really addressed it specifically as like, we're trying to fix it or anything like that. Which, think about that. This issue is so complex that Apple isn't, it's been going on for weeks and Apple isn't like, oh yeah, let's just fix it. They really don't know either.
They need some time.
Yeah.
They say that, yes, they've had phantom alarms that have been set a long time ago who haven't been touched yet just kind of reappear. And it could just be your phone's trying to tell you it wants to go back to how things were. So.
Yeah, maybe. I also see some people have suggested that maybe it's the attention aware features, which I don't have an iPhone. I don't even know what that means. But that if you go into the settings and go to the Face ID and passcode area, you can try to mess around with some of that stuff and what could possibly go wrong.
No, Hudson, do you know what they probably should suggest is have you turned off your phone and turned it back on?
That's right. Yeah.
That's the worst thing. You have a serious problem. You have something that's affecting your getting up and your alarm. And they're like, have you tried to restart your phone
yet? Yeah, right. Yeah.
And then you hate when it works.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I was thinking. I was like, maybe this is actually a nice problem to have. It's an easy excuse to arrive to work early, get some extra sleep, and feel a little refreshed. And who can be mad at you if everybody that has an iPhone, except for Nikki, is experiencing this issue?
I haven't experienced it yet, so give it time. Maybe
Nikki,
tomorrow will be it.
Gonna need you to lie to everybody and say that it's an issue for you to make it easier on them too.
I need a new phone, so if someone could make that happen.
Nikki, I just sent you the most amazing bear video that I've ever seen.
Is it amazing or is it awful? I mean, how do you react when you see it? I actually saw this TikTok. Of course, it came to my For You page.
Of course.
And I think people handled it well for what it is.
Yeah. So the story in the TikTok is It's a bear named Juniper. It's at a zoo in Seattle. It's swimming around, having a grand old time in the water. There's kids
it's in
watching.
Its enclosure.
Yeah. And then a family of ducks shows up, and the bear starts chasing the ducks, and the bear succeeds in its chase of the ducks right in front of a bunch of kids. Oh my gosh.
And if you've never seen a bear, it just picks it up with its paws and it's like, oh, and then he just eats it. So it's like traumatic. Like if little Nikki was at the zoo that day, I love bears so much, but I also like ducks. I would have been crying forever. Trauma.
Yeah.
But again, I think they handled it well because adults were like, it's okay. This is what happens. This is a bear thing. You know, like they handled it.
Yeah. Does it make you wonder if they're not feeding the bear enough that it has to chase those ducks around?
No, I think, they did land in its enclosure. That's its home. And a natural bear would have obviously, but you just wish it wouldn't have been the baby ducks.
Yeah. But
an older, about ready to go duck would have been fine.
they messed around and they found out those ducks. So I guess that'd be a message sent to all the other ducks. Stay away from Juniper the bear. I'm just glad that these kids don't have to see me eating during songs during
wings?
the fundraiser. Yeah, because that would be even more traumatic somehow.
Well, if you see the TikTok, though, like children are screaming, but they're just like, oh, what's going on? And then I like how one was saying, that's not nice. But what's a bear going to do?
Yeah, well, those kids, I'm sure this will come up in therapy years from now as well.
Yeah, I know. That's why everything in your future is going to be messed up this moment right here.
Bumble is making it hopefully even easier for people to find dates. The new change, a new update in the Bumble app is that now women have the opportunity to use pre-written opening moves, they're called. Pre-written messages to send out to guys. I mean, you can just let a robot date for you is basically what can happen here. Questions like, who's your dream dinner party guest, real or fictional? Or what do you like about my profile? Now, us guys, too, if you're getting one of these messages, she didn't put in the effort to write something personal to you. But that's okay. Dating is hard. It's hard to write the first message. So I totally understand. I think that we need help writing also all the future messages. At least I could have benefited from that. There's a guy in Alabama, Fairhope, Alabama. He wandered into an Arby's earlier this week and tried to rob the Arby's with a BB gun. That's not going to get the job done. Of course, he's been arrested and didn't wind up getting anything he was asking for. But man, of all the places to rob, dude, you don't need a BB gun to rob Arby's. All you need is the app. They're offering deals all the time. You could get a sandwich and fries for $2. That's a steal. Nikki, I found something that speaks to what I believe to be two of your greatest loves, and that's Japan and bears.
It's true. If I could choose another place to live, I'd be in Japan. And bears are just, if I die some way, it'll probably be by bears. I am fully convinced I'll try to hug it, and I know I shouldn't.
Well,
but
maybe
I just can't.
Japan would actually be a good place for you because I just saw that they are going to start trying out an AI bear warning system, which is frightening to me. They have AI bears there too now?
Well, I think the system is artificial intelligence, but
got it.
I wasn't even aware until a few years ago because I started watching a lot of Japanese travel shows and stuff.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of bears in Japan, and I think there's a lot of attacks because people in certain prefectures and certain areas are not expecting to see bears, but there's a lot there.
Yeah. I think also too, right? It's that the bears will come into these towns with older folks where there's not in some areas there's just not a lot of young people. There's
not a lot of things to stop them.
Yeah, right. And so they just start wandering, and nobody's there to chase them away until they finally attack somebody. But I guess if they're trying out then an AI bear warning system that just lets people know, kind of like we have tornado sirens, like, hey, get away, there could be bears. But I know for Nikki, that would just be like you would rush out of your front door. Yeah, right.
And it's worse. I'd be taking pictures, which they say you should not do because then you're not really present, making sure something can't attack you. I'd be like, listen, we're doing a live. We're going live.
Maybe Japan isn't necessarily the place for you after all then.
Well, maybe not, but they say that it'll send instant warnings to local authorities. Oh, this part though, police and hunters will also be, because the AI is going to monitor the bear's movement patterns, and they could be like, hey, Bear B is coming down the mountain. And so then that's what people would hear.
What is your favorite, talking of throwbacks, your favorite throwback Nickelodeon show?
Oh, the Nickelodeon ones? Gosh, I don't know. I feel like I need a list to go by. Well, you tell me, and then I'm going to go from yours.
Did you ever watch like iCarly or anything like that?
Yeah, kind of. But I mean,
Zoe 101, perhaps?
I never favored Nickelodeon. I can't tell you what else I enjoyed more, but I just don't think I got into the Nickelodeon shows as much.
I'm actually kind of with you on that. I like some of the All That and whatever, but
I like the Cartoon Network things more.
The Cartoon Network and the cartoons that were on Nickelodeon.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, so I don't know if you've seen anything, but one of the guys that was behind a lot of the big Nickelodeon shows in the late 90s and more into the 2000s was Dan Schneider, who made it into headlines because of he was the centerpiece, it seems, of a new documentary series called Quiet on Set.
Yes, that was on, it's on Max. And boy, a lot of people watched that and were talking about that as that came out.
Yeah, I watched it, and well, I'll get to my thoughts in a second, but it's back in the news, even though it's been out for a couple months now, because Dan Schneider is suing the producers of Quiet on Set because he thinks, he and his lawyers think that it unfairly...
a defamation lawsuit?
Yeah, it implicates him as a child abuser.
I don't think it's implied. I think it really does paint that picture. But I mean, I guess since I didn't watch all the episodes, it was so just clip driven where you were just watching all these horrific things about all these shows that you grew up with, that I guess I could never really make out. Could they not go after him because of like a time limit, or no one was just saying it all the way, or like, I guess I just didn't understand why he was never in trouble quite like people thought he should be.
What I took away from it was I understand why he is suing, because it does kind of come out and say that he is a child abuse, even though he's never actually like been really accused of that. The show, it was 4 episodes. 3 focus on him. 1 focuses on the 2 guys that actually were convicted child abusers that Dan Schneider actually had nothing to do with, and apparently was very supportive of, particularly Drake from Drake and Josh after the fact. So it was, don't hear what I'm not saying. I don't think Dan Schneider has a pure heart and is a lovely man.
No, totally gotcha.
But like what he did went up to the line of like uncool in the workplace, and what the other guys did was crimes. But the series is like, Dan Schneider's horrible.
Yeah, no, I think there's a lot to us, and I don't know all of it again since we didn't watch all of it, but who was the guy who did, I used to watch him because he did a Food Network show where he would, was it
Mark Summers? Yeah.
Mark Summers. Okay, so Mark Summers, I watched your show growing up. I watched that one.
He was Double Dare.
But yeah, exactly. So like he was saying though that when he was interviewed on the show that they didn't tell him what it was for. They weren't honest. And then it became that. So they're saying that the docuseries was using manipulative editing techniques, and in the trailer, especially in several episodes. So that's what they're coming back with, this defamation lawsuit.
Yeah, after watching the whole thing, I kind of get that, but it's definitely complicated. It's the Weekend Watch List, letting you know what you could see in theaters and at home this weekend. We'll start with what you can watch at home. If you don't want to leave the comfort of your own house, you can watch Unfrosted, starring Jerry Seinfeld and a lot of other funny people. It's the story of 1963. Kellogg's and Post, sworn cereal rivals, race to create a pastry that will change the face of breakfast forever. It's supposed to be funny. I mean, it's starring Jerry Seinfeld. The story of Pop-Tarts. It only has a 25% on Rotten Tomatoes, though. But it could have a negative 1,000, and I'd still watch it. Also, that's on Netflix, by the way. Also new this weekend, The Idea of You. What a great name for a movie. Starring Anne Hathaway. It's a 40-year-old single mom who begins an unexpected romance with a 24-year-old boy band singer. Is that allowed? It's on Prime Video, and it is actually getting much better reviews than Unfrosted is, at least according to Rotten Tomatoes. 82%. Also new this weekend, Turtles All the Way Down. That's a John Green novel movie. It's on Max. That also has really good reviews. Yet again, better than unfrosted, 92%. And finally, new in theaters this weekend, Fall Guy, starring Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt. After leaving the business 1 year earlier, battle-scarred stuntman Colt Seavers springs back into action when the star of a big studio movie suddenly disappears. As the mystery surrounding the missing actor deepens, Colt soon finds himself ensnared in a sinister plot that pushes him to the edge of a fall more dangerous than any stunt. Could it be in love? The Fall Guy is in theaters now. 85%. The critics love that one. What are you seeing this weekend? Let me know. 8772 RadioU. Nikki, how are your dogs doing?
Oh, they're good.
They're good?
They're living life.
What is the worst thing that any of your dogs has ever wound up eating?
Eating?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, do we have to say it? The thing that dogs do sometimes, especially puppies.
No. Okay, that's bad. Yeah, that's bad.
But outside of that, they don't really tend to do too much. Maybe a lizard here or there.
Okay.
But
no,
nothing
like
too bad.
human food they've gotten into that they weren't supposed to or anything like that.
Oh, yeah. Rolo ate one time like half a stick of butter, and butter's really bad for dogs, and he got really sick. Yep. It's not good. It's too much fat.
I was going to say half a stick doesn't even sound that bad.
But for a dog.
Yesterday, Zafira the dog, she ate 24 cookies and 3 hamburger rolls.
No! What were you leaving out?
I think it fell somehow in our pantry. It fell down and we didn't realize.
Of cookies?
Yeah. And so she ate all of them. Actually, no, that's not true. She left 4. She ate 24 cookies and left 4.
Well, she didn't want to be a pig about it.
Yeah,
so.
right.
Is she okay? Were they chocolate chip cookies?
No, they weren't chocolate chip. They were those little, those wafers that are like papery thin and they have that, like, you know what I'm talking about? Like some of the cheapest cookies you can buy.
Oh, those are good. The log
they are
ones.
good.
Like,
yeah.
Oh, I like those. Those are good.
So does Zafira the dog, apparently.
She's
she ate
eating, that's mostly air, Hudson, so it's fine.
Air and sugar, though. But
it's
I mean,
delicious.
It's been at this point about 24 hours now, and she is okay. But it's weird though, because she's taken food, but she's never taken like that much food, and it's been a while. She's been acting a little strange lately. That was a shock. I didn't think a lot of times like she doesn't even if stuff does fall or we leave it on the ground. She doesn't eat it. So that was a real surprise when we found that.
Well, okay, these are these wafer things. So obviously she's not going to say no to that. And you put it on her level. So she thought that was for her probably on the floor.
That is, I mean, we've kind of conditioned her. She cleans up our leftovers and stuff. So
what we're saying, it's all your fault.
Yeah.
And she ate rolls too, like hamburger buns?
Yeah, she ate some hamburger rolls as well.
Wow,
But
did you tell her we're supposed to be going low carb and we're not supposed to have all this?
Yeah, she should know better. She's in good shape though. So
that's what we all say.
She can afford it. Yeah, she can afford it.
She can have it.
Yeah, but the good news is though she's doing okay. So
good.
Yeah, but that was unusual to say the least.
Zafira, don't forget to try butter. No.
I bet you didn't know this, that you could go to jail for spending too much on Candy Crush.
Well, I mean, I think it's the details on this, Hudson, but we could finish the fundraiser if we would have had this.
Yeah, seriously. We have a guy here. His name is Lawrence Kozak from Pennsylvania, and he just got sent to jail after he was discovered to have spent in total $214,000 on gaming transactions with his Apple ID between September of 2019 and June of 2022. $40,000 worth of that was on his church's credit card.
There it is. That is awful.
What are you doing? He was a priest at St. Thomas More Parish in Pittstown, Pennsylvania. And
he's not anymore.
No, not anymore. No. He spent $40,000. And listen to this. It was on different games like Candy Crush, Mario Kart, Pokemon Go. But I hate this. He reportedly told detectives that his purchases did not qualify as gambling, but were instead powering up.
Hudson,
You're
believes
a grown
this, though.
man. What are you doing?
He believes this 100%. So, like, in his mind, he's powering up. And I didn't even know, like, I played Mario Kart for like a moment on mobile. And I was like, I didn't even think you could put money on the thing. I didn't even know.
Dang.
He has a problem.
Do you remember that POD song where they say, Father, fill my cup, give me strength to power up? That's not what that meant. That's not what that meant.
He also used the, it'd be a parish's credit card to buy his granddaughter Amazon gifts, including a chemistry set and a tablet computer.
At least he's a thoughtful criminal.
I mean, he wanted to branch out, but that's not powering up for any of that.
No.
So he's obviously in trouble. But I just don't understand when people do things like this. They must just get so caught up because you would know eventually someone would find out.
Yeah,
I mean, surely that would pass through your mind.
There's a paper trail. And but I don't know. Maybe he just did it. I always think you did it one time and you're like, $5. Who's even going to check and know? And then eventually you just keep doing that until you've spent $40,000 on your church's credit card on Candy Crush. Oh my God.
It'd be good to maybe double check your credit card. And, some of us, are we putting money towards mobile games or not? You just want to make sure you're not like in this deep and you didn't realize.
Double check. Well, I promise you, RadioU, none of us here are using any RadioU credit cards on any mobile
power
games.
up.
No, not power up.